Alright guys, this is the second video in my series on basically what you want to look for if you are buying it, and if you are buying a stadium truck and with the purpose of racing, or what you want to improve on your stadium truck so you can make it race ready. Now, I have already done a video on monster trucks, and that will be up also at the same time as this. Excuse me. And yep, this is gonna be kind of two videos in one. Basically, you can take any information I have and you can apply it into what you're looking for. If you are in the market for buying a stadium truck and with the intentions to race with it, or if you already have one and what's to improve on it if you want to race with it. And I know this, which is a Roadster by the way, is not the ideal racing machine, and I'm actually selling this, but for now I'm not going to show you a Stampede when I'm talking about stadium trucks. So basically, you want to make sure your stadium truck is an actual stadium truck. And what I mean by that is, you go to the website, you make sure it's a stadium truck, and it will probably list what category it is. And if you buy a stadium truck, you're not going to be able to really jump too high with it unless you fully option it with for example RPM parts like I did with my Stampede. But basically, most people who buy stadium trucks don't heavily bash with them. And let's get to it. Basically, you want to make sure your stadium truck is as light as possible if you want to race with it. And basically, if you're in the market for one, if you're in the market for some, compare the weights. Every ounce count, even grams count in races, okay? So another thing you want to make sure, which is probably one of the most important, is does it handle well? This Rustler does not handle well. I will tell you that. The suspension sucks. The body sucks. It lets a lot of air in. It jumps terribly. It jumps nose or back heavy. So this is not a good racing truck. It's basically a bashing truck. That's not really that too purposeful. You want to make so you want to make sure your car is really light, and you can do that by getting RPM plastics, and those are really light, or you can go the more expensive route and get composite materials like carbon fiber or Delrin, stuff like that. But you want to keep it light, but you also want to keep it durable because you don't want to break apart in the middle of the race. Now, this is one of the most important parts. Also, your suspension. Not only do you want to make sure you have a good suspension, but you want to make sure it's tuned well. And what I mean by that is, for example, these Ultra Shocks that come stock on the Rustler are not good. They are very squeaky. They do not keep the oil in, and they're not good. On my Stampede, I have big bore shocks. These are very good. Even though I'm not going to race with it, they are very good because they are durable, and I think they weigh maybe like a couple grams more. So I will take that penalty. And you also want to make sure you know what oil you're sticking in it. You want to make sure, like, on your track conditions, which you need. And also, the single most important thing you can do to your race truck, the easiest way to improve the performance, is your tires. If you are going to be racing, before you buy your wheels and tires, go to the track. And I know this is going to sound weird, but see what kind of surface material they have. If it's hard packed clay, then you might want to go with something a little looser, like for example, the Rustler comes with the Goliath wheels, stuff like that. You want to make sure you know your track conditions before you go out and buy a huge amount of stuff, and then when you go to your track, it's going to be all the wrong stuff. You want to make sure that you know what you're buying before you actually buy it. Second is, you want to make sure your electronics are good. Basically, if you're running in a race, this will probably not cut it. This is a 27 megahertz radio. You want to probably go with 2.4 gigahertz because the interference is a lot less. It's a lot faster. And I mean, it's just a way better radio. And stuff like Spectrum, Futaba, those companies, they're so much more programmability with them, and you will get so much more out of your car if you are racing it. With bashers, you don't really need that much, but racers you do. So yeah, you want to have 2.4 gigahertz radio and transmitter. Your steering servo, you want to make sure that's a Metal Gear also, unless you don't mind spending a lot of money, and you want to make sure it's very fast and with enough torque. The fastness is going to be, like, for example, it's going to say speed to transit time. That's how fast it goes to that. So yeah, the faster the better for obvious reasons, quicker response, and Metal Gear so for extra durability. Also, you want to make sure your ESC and motor are good. For ESC, it's basically on the flip side of bashers. For bashers, you don't really need the programmability and the waterproofness and the ruggedity or durability, but for racers, you want a lot of customization or programmability. And basically, I think the best ESC is the E-maxx Pro for a racer, because it can handle almost any single motor, almost any single battery. It has tons and tons of programmability with a built-in fan to keep your temperatures cool, because in the races you will get pretty hot and you don't want to get into thermal in the middle of a race and just stay there. So if you want to go all out, I would probably get that, because it can run any motor, basically any 10 scale motor, because it can run brushed and brushless, sensorless and censored. It has a 1 to 6 cell battery, which you probably won't be running that high, but still. And it has a built-in BEC, which is very nice. And a lot of people, including me, when I was coming in, I thought, oh yeah, fast is the best. Strap in a 3 cell and a Speed T, put some racing tires on there, and bam, you get 65 miles per hour on a track. You can't lose. Well, that's wrong. On most tracks, you're not going to be able to go over 40 miles an hour, which means you don't want to go with the highest kV rating brushless motor. If you want to go with Castle, 4-600 is a really good option. I actually think if I wanted to set up a racer, I would go with all Castle or Mama Monster Pro and their 4-600 kV motor, because that will give it the most efficient, and it will give it just the right amount of speed and torque for almost any track. And next on that is your battery. You want to make sure your battery is basically a LiPo. NIMs these days, they're probably not going to let you win too many races. You will have to get really lucky to win if you have a NIM battery. You want to probably go with a 2-cell LiPo if you're running in 10 scale, and you're running 8. If you're running 8 scale, you probably want to go with a 4-cell battery. And also, you want to make sure your driveline, you want to make sure it's strong, but you want to make sure it's lightweight. The best way to do that is CVDs. Basically, it's an all-steel design. It's a lot less rotating mass, which means it's a lot more efficient, a lot more strong, and basically faster times and less slop. You want to make sure your transmission can hold it, your truck is durable, and you have a very aerodynamic body. Because if you're going at the speed, you want to have the good handling, and you want to make sure your car doesn't go nose heavy or doesn't have a lot of back weight. So you might want to add some stick-on weights if it's going on the front, and you might want to, if it's nose diving, you want to add weights on the back. If it's on the back, if it's going like this, you want to add weights on the front. And Proline bodies and JCOM sets bodies, they will help that. And that's about it, guys. And subscribe, comment, rate. And there was one other thing that I wanted to say, but I forgot. Oh yeah, you want to make sure your car jumps very well, and the reason I'm doing this is because I am running out of time. And you want to make sure your car jumps balanced, like straight in the air, so that you can land. And yep, comment, subscribe, and rate, and I will see you next time.